and lighting designers. So we really can come at each project with that sensibility. It's not that the architect does architecture, it's that she brings that sensibility of architecture, and Ute Bessenecker worked on this project, so it was very, very helpful. It's always helpful to have someone who's good at the software and good at reading drawings and good at the language of architecture, landscape, industrial design, electrical.
I think it's interesting that you define architectural form as sculpture. So I think that's an interesting way to look at that. Sometimes urban environments and monumental architecture, especially this overwhelming number of glass structures that we have in Dallas, can be alienating to people who inhabit those spaces. What impact do you feel the incorporation of Lightworks has on this sense of alienation in urban environments?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts about the nighttime environment, and this is really where I am most at home developing theory. So I have ideas about light being a catalyst for people on the streets of a city, and how people might interact on street corners and plazas and parks and things like that. Also that light can help identify and make legible the streets at night. And so this ephemeral form can be as strong or stronger given a black canvas of night than the building structures.
Okay. You've also described your work as civic theater. How does that apply to SpectraScape and the Main Street Garden Park?
Well, I think that, one of my ideas is that people are, well, as Shakespeare said, players in their own, on the stage of life, in a sense. So from my beginnings as a theatrical lighting designer and creating a theatrical space for actors, I'm now creating a theatrical space for inhabitants of any given city.
So everybody gets to play along.
Absolutely.
Main Street Garden Park is sited between some significant and historical architecture in Dallas. How do you think SpectraScape will function as a work of art in relationship to those particular structures?
I think it's actually SpectraScape in the setting of the downtown Main Street Garden Park will become a kind of a heart and a central, it will become very central, which will allow the buildings to become the walls of the park. So basically what we've created are walls that house the room of the park. So I think actually having the park within these spaces and structures and facades will make the spaces and structures stronger and makes for an incredibly interesting backdrop if you are a player or a visitor to the park.
Sure. Okay. How does the title SpectraScape, where does it come from? Is it a scientific device or an instrument, or what does that reference?
Right, well, it's a play on words. SpectraScape is a play on words that we derive from the spectroscope. And it analyzes substances through colored bandwidths when it's heated. Now, this whole project's all about stripes and bandwidths. And so we took the spectroscope, which is really a scientific instrument, and the idea of a landscape, and put them together, and it just sounds so natural and yet much more playful and yet slightly scientific that it just became a real play on words to create an environment that is a kind of analysis, quote unquote, of the seasons, in the way that a spectroscope is an analysis, let's say, of metals and various substances when they're heated with color. So it's just kind of a play, really. It's just a pun and a play on words.
That's great. I think a lot of people will wonder about that and hopefully delve into that question a little bit further as they experience the park. Great. Well, we're looking forward to the grand unveiling of the park on November 5th, and then the first public event is November 20th for the downtown Dallas tree lighting event. So the park will become part of the arena for all sorts of events in downtown Dallas. That's very exciting. Thanks very much.
Thank you.